Hey, how's it going? What's going on? Welcome. Today, today we're going to look at a stack of comics. I think there's 15 or 20 comics here, maybe 15. Anyway, these are four color comics by Dell. Four color was a Dell title, started in 1942. It ran from 1942 to 1962. 1,354 issues consecutively by Dell Comic Publishing Corporation. This is number 290. This is the earliest issue in my collection. So, Dell 4 Color is a title like no other. First of all, like I said, 20 years straight, over 1,300 issues consecutively, and it is a weekly anthology title. That's what it was. It was, and I use the word anthology probably incorrectly here. It wasn't like an anthology in that there were multiple stories inside of it. I mean that each issue every month was a completely different comic. And the thing that's interesting also about it is, let's look in here real quick before we address the issue, is that inside here on the indicia, you'll see that at no point does it ever call this comic Four Color Comics. Each individual issue is titled the same as the cover. The numbering system that is used is what represents Four Color Comics. Even down here, it doesn't ever say four color, but this is something that Dell and Gold Key did. There's the issue number, and then that is the year and the month. So this came out in August of 1950. It's the earliest issue I have. All right, let's get started. This is so early, it's 1950, that each monthly issue of Dell Comics is 52 big pages, all comics, no ads. This is the Chief. It's Dell 4 color number 290. It's this beautiful, amazing painted cover. The lighting is so cool. I really, really like this cover, and I really, really like this comic. So I'm in the process of organizing and going through my four color collection. I have a big four color collection. Like this. So we're going to look at this stack right now, but over here, I mean, let's just look. This is stuff that's still to come, all four color, and then there's four more stacks about that same size over here. Okay, so we have a lot of four color to go through, but I think I've got them all set up numerically and chronologically. So we're going to be looking at right now, this stack is from 1950 to 1953, 52 pages, the Chief. Look at this, it's beautiful. Okay, this is just great stuff. I think I've read this twice already. I don't know who did the art in here. That's another thing that's pretty much, something that you get used to when you're dealing with not only most Dell comics, but definitely, four color, is that you have no idea who the artists were. You don't know who. Well, I take that back. John Small. Typically, you have no idea who the artists are of the stories or the covers, and it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because this came from a time period when comics medium was about entertainment, and it was about comic books. It was about selling comics and entertaining people. It wasn't about producing something that could possibly be opted as a script for a Netflix series or a WB soap opera. Okay, you'll notice there's the look at that. How beautiful is this? Yeah, so when you see that there's no artists or writers' names on the cover of a comic book and there's no UPC code, that means it's a good comic book. When it has a UPC code and when it has the names, like underneath the title, or even nowadays, like above the title, the names of these freaking chumps, people that have done nothing. The names of people who have done nothing are top billing on the comic book. That means it's shitty. It all kind of happened right around the same time as the prizes inside of breakfast cereal went south. It's all related. Walter Lantz, Oswald, and I challenge any of you to if you disagree with me, please chime in. I would love to hear you talk about the virtues and talents of the present writers and artists in the comic book industry that are just weak. Could never even come close to what we're looking at right here. This stuff was done by journeyman graphic artists. Many of them weren't even necessarily comic book artists. They worked in like the animation industry. They worked in advertising. Yeah, that's what you're looking at. This is the work of an illustrator, a person who is a professionally, classically trained artist, not somebody who went to some stupid Cal Arts Academy. Get a grip, loser. All right. So let's see. Walter Lantz, Oswald the Rabbit, number 273. This is joyful, isn't it? So yeah, I've got all these comics ready. The reason why I've got them all unbagged here is I'm getting ready to send them all away to CGC. You know, I'm going to. This is number 273. This is just more 52-page goodness. This is just wow. It's a rabbit with an axe in his hand and a gun in the other hand. It's really good. Yeah, I'm getting ready to send this stuff away to CGC. Looking to get some high grades on these books because I want to, mostly I just want to use it to, want to impress my friends. And also it helps me, it makes me feel better about myself knowing that I have taxidermied these comics and taken them out of circulation so that effectively no one can ever read them again. They're now an investment commodity. That's what I'm looking to do. Like this Andy Panda here in the Isle of Mechanical Men that I don't know what happened here, but it gives this provenance now. And so, yeah, I'm going to take this out of circulation and I'm going to hang it up on the wall of my den, right? And, yeah, to impress everybody, to flex. This is a Bohemian Grove comic, Trouble in the Big Trees. This is 4-color number 370 from about 1951. So in this issue, they're having some trouble with the old growth grove up there in Guerneville, and they need to get the trees fixed before the summer hijinks. You know, Merv Griffin is coming to town, and Walter Cronkite, and they're going up there to the grove to worship Moloch and to do like a ritual mock sacrifice of a little human effigy. It's like a child's body, you know, made of wire. They're going to set that on fire, and they're going to piss in the bushes. They'll piss in the bushes, but the moral of this comic is weaving spiders come not here. It just gets better and better. So now imagine, if you can, as I mentioned, 42 to 62 weekly comic books put out by Dell. Every week it's a new title. They have licensing with everybody. They got licensing from anybody you could think of, you know. They got it licensed. Mickey Mouse and the Inca Idol case. This looks so cool. This is in good shape. They're carrying this giant egg. Still at this point, early 50s, 0 ads inside of these comic books. Now, I don't know for sure. I've just seen, you know, certain things like, you know, the Dell did produce individual magazine-style comic book racks and regular comic book spinner racks. But as Dell moves on and as we move up through the 50s and advertisements start to be introduced into these comics, and we'll talk about that. The ads, we've talked about it, I think, before I mentioned it. The ads are essentially very high-end, full-page ads for major brands, major supermarket brands. So, I believe, I don't know for sure, part of the reason why Dell there's so many of them and they sold so many millions of them and so many of them survived is that These were really, really sold in supermarkets, in the grocery stores, right near the checkout, right near where women were buying paperback books and other regular magazines. These were also presented there to those women, to parents, mostly to mothers, I believe. So I think that a lot of mothers bought a lot of Dell comics. The reason why I say that is because you'll open one up and there'll be a full page ad for a craft product. Now, I know a little bit about marketing and I know a little about the grocery business. My uncle and my aunt used to own a grocery store. Now, it was a small town, family market, but it was a full on grocery store. It wasn't a supermarket, it was a grocery store. And so I'm pretty sure that if something has a big ad for craft on the inside front cover, that product is marketed to be sold near craft products or to people who would be purchasing craft products. And moms purchase craft products. This is really cool cover, but it looks like kind of these mundane interiors, but it might be really, really good. This whole story might be about, the red threat. The whole thing could be about communism, and I don't even know because I haven't read it, or I read it like 10 years ago and I forgot. But the cover is sick. So this is for color number 421, Tom Corbett Space Cadet. Are you noticing this weird, strange collection of comics that were coming out every week from 1942 to 1962? You really didn't know what was going to be there from week to week, but a lot of times it tied in with other things, like the brownies. This comes from somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it comes from. I can't remember. I think this is the only one that I own. I don't know who this artist is right off the bat, but boy, it really looks like Walt Kelly, doesn't it? But this comes from somewhere. Like there are more stories of this brownies. It's got to be from something else. I don't know for sure though, but it's such a strange cover. So what's going on here? It looks like, so are these regular sized boys or are these also brownies? Because these brownies, I think, are miniature sized people. Because look, here's some bugs. So this to me looks like some sort of a Trojan horse situation, right? Or something. Why do they have this cart with this Halloween mask perched up, and they were maybe pushing this cart, and then they decided to make the mask smoke a giant? Well, no, to them it's giant. This is a regular sized corncob pipe. Why did they do this? Why are they smoking this pipe, and why are they all sickly looking? I mean, well, they're sick because they are ingesting tobacco smoke. This is pretty cool looking. The art is very good. So, like I said before, the art in here is very good. This is top tier stuff. As I mentioned, products like Schwinn bicycle and craft food, as well as there's other ones we'll come across, the major Pepsi Cola, major brands. They're in 1953 or 1952. They're not just putting their advertisements in everything. They're only putting in their advertisements in what they thought would be suitable and was in line with their product. Comics about horses and comics about dogs were very popular in the 1950s. People liked horses. It was still a generational connection. People still remembered, back in the old days when they had horse-drawn carriages, or they rode by horseback, or it was a part of their lives. Even here in the city in San Francisco, you can tell the oldest houses because they have pass-through garages to a barn type shed in the backyard, where a space for a carriage and a stable for two horses was commonplace even within the city. And I'm talking about 1910 or something is what I'm talking about. Let's see. Look at this. How cool is this? So this is obviously marketing the Peter Pan movie, right? This is coming out probably the same time as Peter Pan came out in the theater. It's 1952. It's December of 1952. You can check me on that, but this is probably, if this wasn't when Peter Pan first came out, this was in coinciding with Peter Pan being re-released or shown in theaters, because they wouldn't just do this haphazardly. This is still Disney, even back in the old days. This is Disney. It's Disney when Disney was great. Look at this. What is the? I mean, other than what we're looking at here, what's how did you get started in this, Meyer? What was your attraction to 4-color comics? Well, Mr. John Q. Public and Mr. and Mrs. Joe Blow, the reason why I started collecting 4-color comics is because when I discovered them, they were $2 each. Not kidding. They were like $2 a piece, and nobody even wanted these. No one even cared anything about these. So that's why my collection varies from higher grade stuff to lower grade stuff, because it was really all mixed together 10 or 15 years ago, and nobody really cared that much. And some of the low grade stuff would be $2, and the higher grade stuff might be $4 sometimes. I'm not kidding. You never know. It's not like it's super rare, but the quality is beyond compare. Look at how beautiful and cool this misogynistic cover is. I absolutely love it. I love this illustration style of how this guy's drawing these women in 1953. It looks great. And the interiors are great too. This is a series, Andy Hardy, which is based on a series of films that were from like about 10 years before this comic, starring this really great famous actor named Mickey Rooney. You might remember him from his dazzling performance in the Oscar-winning classic Breakfast at Tiffany's. Check out Mickey Rooney's performance in Breakfast at Tiffany's. He's great in that. All right. Next is number 462, The Little Scouts. I'm pretty sure I read this. This also by Roland Coe. Is this also from something else? I don't know. I'm not sure. This is kind of a creepy cover. I mean, it's not meant to be a creepy cover, obviously. In 1953, this wasn't something creepy. A middle-aged man mending your son's pants during a weekend getaway. You signed the consent form, right? Anyway, he kind of reminds me a little bit of John Wayne Gacy, but I mean, this is really wholesome stuff, and it's got really good art on the inside. See, look at, I've got an idea. Let's play the handcuff game. Have you ever seen the handcuff trick, boys? So, Little Scouts. The art is great, and I imagine this is really good. I think I probably read this a long time ago, and it looks really good to me right here now that we're looking at it right now, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks pretty good. So, yeah, I'll be rereading that eventually. See, and then look, from Little Scouts to like next week, we get Zane Grey's Desert Gold. Who is buying this? This is not for kids. This is mom buying something that not only does she want to read, but something that she thinks that dad wants to read. I hope that that focus hasn't been screwed up this whole video because of that stack of comics right there. I just noticed that. So I guess only time will tell. We'll have to look and see in a moment when I'm done filming this. We're almost done, guys. Hang in there. So yeah, this is clearly being sold, next to McCall's and TV Guide. It really is. This is not. I mean, obviously, it's mixed in with regular comics in certain locations, but I believe that Dell is selling tremendous numbers of paper products in grocery stores in 1952. Not just comics, magazines, paperback books, anything you could think of. The whole deal. Chewing gum. No, they weren't selling chewing gum. It was paper. They were selling everything. Crossword puzzle books, Um, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that stuff. So this is a complete picture story based upon a Zane Grey novel. My Uncle Joe used to say that he had a giant collection of Zane Grey and Louis L'Amour, and I remember he told me that Zane Grey was better. Never really got to reading that stuff. I was really at the same time as he was showing me all of that stuff and his like Boxcar Willie 8 tracks and everything, and um, I was really reading Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff. I was reading. This looks great, doesn't it? I was reading Edgar Rice Burroughs, and so he was like, I understand you like those books, but let me show you these westerns. They're just about the same, and he's probably was right. He probably wasn't wrong. They really were just about the same. Louis L'Amour and Zane Grey. I liked it, but I never really got into it. Not like I didn't read his whole collection or anything like that. But I think it's cool. I like the comic looks really cool and everything, and I feel like there was one other Western writer that I might have read, but I like the movies and stuff, and the TV miniseries. Anytime it says Louis L'Amour made something, and you're like, okay, this is going to be pretty good. It's kind of a beat up old Sword of Zorro comic with this really cool painted cover with a candelabra. So I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that are always talking about in the internet forums about candelabra covers, and this is a pretty sought after one. This is a key candelabra cover. All right, the last thing that we're going to look at. Why does it say Rising right there? Isn't that interesting? I wonder if that was the name of a location. It was stamped. What would that mean? Rising. There is a bugs named Bunny. He is the bunny one. The house of the Bugs Bunny. The house of the rising bugs. The house of the rising bugs. That's it. Bugalardo Bunny, 1492. Bugly Bunny, 1775. This makes me laugh now. I think that this is funny. A bunny's best friend. Oh, this is kind of painted back here. This is cool. All right, so we looked at 4-color comics. We talked a little bit about the history of 4-color comics. We talked a lot about my biased and bigoted opinions about things. We looked at this fantastic art, and we also talked about how affordable most of this stuff probably still is. I don't know, I haven't checked, but 10 years ago when I bought it, these things were like $2 a piece, $3 a piece, $4 a piece. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and I will talk to you guys later.